right, well, we're going to get started and then we'll have Giovanni will join us. He's ready. Hello, will you get us on live? All right, welcome everyone. It's great to see everyone here. I see a lot of our veteran parents who've been at the club 3, 4, 5 years. So welcome. I see some new faces as well. Joining me today is Keita. He's been at our club for 4 years now. He's been one of the most productive, I think, youth coaches in the country over the course of his time in the U.S. So I asked him and Giovanni, who's a 4-time Olympic coach from Italy, to join us as well, so we can talk about how best to support our students. So I think it's really like 2 questions when I'm thinking about it. Like, obviously I'm a parent as well. It's like, what do I need to do to best support my child in fencing? And I think the other question is how to work effectively with your coaches and with the club. So to tell you just a little, I'm gonna give a little background about myself. So I competed in 3 Olympic Games. My journey was a little bit different than most, I think, of our Olympians now. I didn't make any cadet teams, any junior teams. I wasn't recruited really for any colleges. I went to Morehouse University, which was a Division III school. But I just really loved fencing. And I saw that every year I was improving. And out of my Division III school, like my freshman year, I didn't make NCAAs. And then literally training with an epic coach, who was the head coach of Morehouse University, Bill Shipman, I finished 10th at NCAAs my sophomore year. I didn't have a lot of training partners. I didn't have a lot of things, but I took what I did have and I was able to make a huge jump in college. It was after my sophomore year when I finished 10th at NCAAs where I was like, maybe I could do something with this, that I started to work with Yuri Gelman, who was my coach really from like 1998 onwards. He's multiple-time Olympic coach, probably the best coach in US history for men's fencing. So I graduated from college. I still was not anyone that people thought would make a national team or Olympic team. I actually joined a program called Teach for America. And I moved back to New York City, which is where I was from, and I was teaching 7th grade middle school social studies. And I was like, I'm just gonna train and see what I can do. So over the course of 2000s, when I graduated, 4 years, I went from like not even being on the radar of consideration for someone that could make the Athens Olympics to making the Athens Olympic Games. I often tell people that I serve as a joke, but I was traveling to these tournaments like in Romania, Bulgaria. I would fly, like 8 to 10 hours, get off these planes, take another bus ride to a hotel. Then I would, sleep the night, wake up in the morning, go to the venue, and I would fence the pools and then lose my first DE bout and then go all the way back home. And I did that for a couple of years where I was literally losing almost every first bout that I fenced, and most people thought I was crazy, should probably give it up. But I really loved what I was doing. And by 2004, I was able to, Giovanni, you're not hiding here. I was able to kind of break through, and I made results that put me on the 04 Olympic team. We actually finished 4th there. We lost by 1 point twice for a medal. And from there, I continued working in education. We went to the Beijing Olympics and were able to win the first medal in US history since 1948. And I would say my passions have always been like education, fencing, and the Olympics, and that's really, I guess, what led us all to be in this room today. Is the club is kind of a combination of all those things. So the season's really busy, so what I want to do is, in the time that we do have, and for those folks that are joining us on the live stream, just share a little bit about what I think are, now that the club is turning 10 years old this year. We've had a lot of successes over these 10 years. We've had, like anything, challenges and ups and downs, but what have we learned over these 10 years in regards to like how we've worked effectively with parents, how the club works effectively with you, and what are the things that parents have done that have been helpful in their child's development. So I know it's a little cheat 7 habits of highly effective fencing parents. Stuff that I had in my head that I was like, well, it might be 9, it could be 6, but we picked 7 if you've read 7 habits of highly effective people. So I'm gonna go through a little bit of these, but I want to make this interactive as possible. So if you have questions, like feel free to ask. Like, I have time now. Like, let's do it. Whatever questions you have about the club, about anything, like you can fire away at us. And then if I can't answer a question, I'll make Giovanni answer it for you. So,
I'm ready.
all right. So the first habit, and all of you here are already demonstrating that, is the parents have to be engaged. I can tell you that there's 0% of the students where we don't interact with parents that we've been able to get anywhere with them. So parents who are engaged in what their kids are doing, it's extremely important. Without the parents, like this does not work. And that includes like getting to know the coaches, getting to know the club. Without you guys, it's like doesn't work. And obviously once you're competing, you guys are spending your weekends driving to Suffern every other weekend, starting, if you're more advanced, you're starting to fly around the country. But when we're not able to reach parents, or the parents are not really involved in it, it's just very hard to get anywhere with it. So first of all, I already applaud your efforts, and your kids will probably understand later how much all of you have put into this. I know the McCarthys are here, they're now doing round 2. They've been with us honestly since 9 years, since like year 1 with Gabriel, who's now at Columbia, and Nora Luisa sitting there. So they've probably seen everything. They were with us when the club was like one space with a few coaches and like 10 kids. So already, I would just say like being engaged is critical. The second part is just educating yourself, which again, everyone here is already doing, but it's really important that as you go through this journey, you understand as much as you can about the systems, about how things work, about what tournaments to be doing, how much to be training. And that's also where we come in as sort of like as much as we can to be your guide in that. But I often tell people, like when you first start going to tournaments, like we could do a 5-hour session on how to beat a tournament, but like we still probably, you're gonna just encounter things going through all these tournaments that you just have to learn through experience. So part of, again, you guys are already doing this, is just understanding the system when you get into the points, and there are some parents here, Augusto knows like the point system now, cadet, junior, senior, youth, what things equal. It's actually very complicated, and US fencing is actually in the midst of maybe like revamping the entire point system, which will put us all back to square 0 and understanding it. But just important that you try to learn as much as you can. I think it's also part of that learning is understanding the values of the club. And this is what I'm always thinking about. What are values? What is it that we stand for? And I just want to share with you like how I think about the club, our students, what we're trying to do. So the first sort of pillar for me is like enjoyment. Okay, like none of this works if you're not enjoying what you're doing. Yes, as you go down the road, there's like more delayed gratification in regards to like how much work you're putting into results you're getting. But ultimately you have to like enjoy that process, enjoy coming to practice. It did like, if I wasn't passionate about what I was doing, I wouldn't have like been traveling all over the world, losing first matches and flying home. So we want to enjoy it as coaches, we want the students to enjoy it. I put the hard work and the enjoyment together because I think those are both important. Like we have to work hard, but you can have fun and work hard together. And then for me as well, so togetherness has 2 meanings. How many of you have ever read Together Leader or Together Teacher? Okay, so the first together part is simple, like we want to be a club, a community together, connected, supporting each other. The other together is like having your together, like being organized, again, knowing how the system works, basically like being together. Like if you're not organized, planning out your trips in advance, thinking about like who's going to Plovdiv with your kid because there's another tournament that weekend, like all that stuff, like being together. I can tell you the people that know the system, it's like they know what's ahead, they know what tournaments to register for, and there are people that like have not made teams because they haven't understood the system, or they're just like disorganized. And then again, I just say like values is very important. I would say we want to win, we don't need to win. It's not like winning at all costs. I think it's really important that I try the best of my ability to put the best role models around our athletes, around our students. I want us to always, like when people see our club, to feel that we operate with, we're good sports, we operate with integrity and good sportsmanship, and that's a really important part of what we do. It's win at all costs for me is not the way. It's like We want to be good sports. I think those things, especially when you're just thinking ahead of college and stuff, like a lot of college coaches, like Daria at Harvard, she looks, yes, at the level of the student, but also at how they conduct themselves at tournaments and at the camps that the kids go to. So yes, they want really good fencers, but they also, if they're going to recruit someone who's going to be with them for 4 years, they want people who are going to be, fit in well with their teammates, be a good teammate in college. I'm going to stop and pause. Are there any questions about the first, 3 things there?
How would you recommend we learn the system? We have no idea what.
Yes, great question. So I'm gonna table that because I'm gonna come back to it. So as I get into deeper things, as we get through these 7, I will start to go into where you should look as a resource. So we're one resource. You've got parents around you, another resource, like what websites to look at, all that kind of stuff. So hold that question. Then I always say, trust the advice of the coaches. And I don't know if you've heard it from the 80s, but trust but verify. So I grew up in coach was God. That's not, I don't think, a philosophy that still exists. But we do have a lot of knowledge here. And I do think it's important that there's a trust between the coaches and you guys and the advice that we give. I can tell you, a lot of our most successful students, there's conversations with me and the parents, and there is a trust level of hey, you should go to this, you should not go to this. And then there are definitely situations where we give advice to someone and they go off and do the opposite. And it's not to say, again, that we're 100% right about everything, but this is what we do. We've been doing this for a long time. And there are just certain times. And listen, if I'm not sure about something, I would say that as well. But I think it's important to trust in the conversation we're having. But again, verify. I'm not asking you to take everything, just do exactly as we say. But I do know even when it comes to camps, if I look at Sean Kim, who's going to Harvard next year, Gabriel McCarthy, all of our kids who have gotten far, they've been at all our camps, training consistently over time. So I can see the difference when there are kids who every summer they go away and they don't fence, or they skip camps, and the people that we're competing against, because we are competing against the best in the country, and the US actually is the best cadet program in the world. And for college, you have to sort of arrive in this really small window, 14, 15 years old, that there are some things that I just over and over it's repeated. Now, a lot depends on your goals as well. Not every kid's goal needs to be get recruited for school or be nationally ranked or whatever, but if those are your goals, because we have some parents that articulate that to us and the kids do that, and you're not doing X, Y, Z with your training, I can tell you your odds of success are very, very low. There are just things that you have to be doing. The people that we compete against, and again, this isn't a random volleyball team at a high school. Our kids, even in this region, are competing with some of the best kids in the country. We're going to tournaments against the best, So we're not training at the right amount, and that's still not a guarantee, but it's a guarantee you won't succeed if you're not training at that level. And the competitiveness has only gone up, compared to when we started. There's many more kids fencing now. There are many more fencing clubs. The US has had a huge influx of really strong coaches. California used to have nobody, honestly. I remember maybe it was 2018, we had 3 out of the top 4 were from our club in the Y10 Nationals, and there's a California kid beat us, unfortunately, Daniel Holtz, I'm still mad at him, and Premier Fencing, they're fantastic. But in the top 16 maybe one or 2 kids from California. And now if you look at these tournaments, half the top 16 has come from California, and they've got Chinese Olympians out there and all these fantastic coaches. So the competitive level has only gone up over time. So I just say trust but verify. You don't have to take everything we say as God, but I think we do have a lot of knowledge here, and we try to share with you the best information that we have on what you should be doing. Okay. And this is, they're all connected, but setting realistic expectations. So, we've had students that they are training once or twice a week, and they go to a national tournament, and they do really badly, and they're asking we should switch coaches because things not working with the coach. But you're only training once or twice a week, and the people you're losing to are training 5 times a week and training nonstop. So there has to be some connection between what your expectations are and what you're actually doing. So like I can tell you so many times, like the Junior Olympics are going to be in less than 2 weeks. Some of the kids are not at camp. You might go to that tournament and not do well. It might not just be because they weren't here, but I can tell you that at Pomona Fencing, Premier Fencing, all the clubs around us, there are kids who are trying to do well, get nationally ranked, are all training right now. So again, if your goal is to, let's say, be recruited or make national points at high levels, it's a different conversation, like you have to be doing this. But if you're coming twice a week to the club and taking like one lesson a week, and then you're upset that you're losing your first bout at like a cadet NAC, like there's no lesson that I can give you, or Giovanni or Eve or anyone in the world can give you that's gonna like overcome the amount of training. And it comes from me. I like literally made huge jumps with an epic coach my freshman and sophomore year. But yeah, so I think it's important to have conversations with your kid, what their goals are. I love a goal for me is I want all our kids to actually be able to fence on college teams. I feel like if you start with us at 8, 9, 10, 11, and you do train, that there's a college team that you can fence on. And I think most of our kids who have trained, from the youth ages with us, who have really trained properly, like not all of them got recruited, it's still a tiny number, but almost all of them found a place where they could fence. Like Matthew Fields is a great example of that. He's at Yale right now. He wasn't super heralded, but he worked really hard, and he was able to walk onto the Yale team. He wasn't recruited by them, but he's fencing for that team. We have kids at some of the college clubs. So I think like if your kids love it and they want to fence in college, it's a wonderful experience. A very tiny number will get recruited, but I do think if you're training, that there's a college and a place that if fencing is really important to you, you'll be able to go to and fence at. I don't know any students really who really want to fence in college that didn't find a college that they could go fence at. Now they couldn't go to like Harvard and walk on the team necessarily, but there was like University of Chicago and a ton of other schools. When we get to the college part, there's schools out there that you can fence for. Okay. I think maintaining the right mindsets and perspective is really, really important. And you do have to think about this in the long term. I know the kids often hear me say like glow year and grow year. So like your age makes a really, really big difference in your results when you're like 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay, 13, 14. The kids who are 9, right, in Y10, we call that being in a grow year. So if you train like 4 days a week when you're 9 and you go to all the tournaments, okay, Leo Shapiro, who's sitting there, is a good example of this because I remember he was 9 years old, he loved fencing, he was training all the time, and how was he doing when he did Y10 when he was 9?
He was middle of the pack. He was like
middle-ish, whatever, but then that work he put in at 9, now when he was 10, now he's making medals at all the tournaments. Then 11 becomes another grow year, and also you start to get into like which kids are hitting puberty first and not, but you're gonna sometimes the kids will feel like they're getting worse when they're 11, because like they might be doing well in Y10, now they're 11. When they do fence Y12, and they're 10, like it's like a bonus for them. It's like I'm fencing age up, and they're really loose, and if they're cool, and they like sometimes even make a better result sometimes in the age up category because they feel less pressure. But sometimes they can feel worse. I'm like, why I'm not winning as many medals now at 11, and there's more kids fencing. And you keep putting in that work, and at 12, you usually see the same thing. People age out, and your results go up. The hardest year is the age of 13 for everybody, every activity, every sport. It's the age where most kids quit things, and I'll put this in another perspective. It's the age where most kids start to specialize more, and they realize how much things start to matter. Meaning if you're doing 4 activities, when you're 9, 10, 11, you're just going to tournaments, you're having fun, you're with your friends. Then when you're 13, the kids start to become aware of what this might mean, whether or not they hear us talking about college, those things start to get in their head, and they start to see what's around them and like, do I want to put in this commitment to get somewhere? So it's not necessarily a bad thing. Some kids realize, hey, like the flute is like my thing, and if I want to be like the best fluter,
Flautist.
if If I want to be the best flautist in the world, I have to flout 6 times a week, okay? And that means I might have to give up fencing, right? There are kids who have conversations like, hey, our kid just gave up swimming for fencing, and then they gave up something else. So it is good to try different things, but around 13 is when the kids start to go, I don't know if I want to do this like 5 days a week with the other things. I'm more passionate about this or that. And then usually the kids make it through 13. It's also a hard year developmentally because like you're in Y14, you start to do cadet, you start to do cadet and junior, so you're like probably losing more. There are kids who become like, if you look at the Y14 boys event, there are boys who are like 6'2" and boys who are like 4 feet tall. So a whole range of things is happening there, like whether the kids are feeling good or not. And I always say like managing through that 13 age is like pretty hard. And then obviously middle school, I taught middle school. It's a tough age for kids. They're feeling in the middle of everything, middle school. And some of our best fencers, like I would say their biggest struggles were like the age of 13, just like knowing if they were gonna go for it. And usually the kids get through that age, they go through high school and they continue. So the long-term part of this is important. I give the analogy of like growing. Like you're around your kid every day, so you may not necessarily see that they're growing. You know, like if I don't see someone for like when your kids go away for a few weeks and then come back, I'm like, whoa, you grew. You know, but if I'm around my kids like Jackie and Zoe, it's like other people telling me that they grew, because I'm like, I don't even realize it because you see them every day. And it could be the same with their improvement in fencing. If you're going to tournaments every week, you're seeing them like, you're seeing them and you're like, maybe not seeing the improvement because you're seeing it every day. And it's like all the small things are like adding up. So just understanding like, again, that's where the conversations come in, like where the improvement is. It may not first happen with results. It may be things that we're looking for, like the fencing habits on the strip, that they're doing better, like making a step back when they pull short, or reacting correctly, or removing extra movements. So I just say it's very important to like try to have an even keel, to not get too high and to not get too low. Like to try to keep it like here. There's going to be like really, really sucky like things. There's going to be huge highs, but it's just really important. Like yes, you're going to go up and down. We're all human, but just like keeping it in perspective, especially in the grow years. Because usually students go through, and honestly the biggest times that people change clubs is like when they're in a grow year, and then all of a sudden they're 11, they're not making results. But if I always look at the birth year, but I'm like, if you take out the kids above you, you'd actually be 5th, but right now you're 30th. And they think all of a sudden, oh, because I switched clubs, and we've had kids switch to us, the same thing. It's like, okay, they left their club in a grow year, they put in good work, and now it's a glow year, and it looks like, oh, I'm making top 8s, but you were always tracking towards that. I always say, look at the tournaments in like the birth years, okay? Like if you do a Y12 event and you're 11, you know, where did you finish against the 11-year-olds? So like if when you were 10, you were finishing like 6th place, and now you're finishing 30th, are you still actually in 6th place amongst the, you know, kids your age? You know, you didn't actually drop 24 spots. So I think just the emotional up and down. I think one of the interesting things with sports is like, yeah, we deal with losing way more than winning. We deal with kids who are disappointed way more than success. If we go to a tournament and we have 3 kids in the top 4 or something, that's amazing. But if we have 20 kids competing, there's more of the work that we have to do is helping kids work through like when they feel like they're not doing well, when they feel like there's not progress. Though that's actually like the work that we really do. It's like when you're done, everything's great. When your kid makes a result, we're cool. We're like high five, everything's good. But that work to actually get to results is in those tournaments where you're not making results, and you know, keeping optimism, understanding where there's like progress in the things that you're doing, even if you don't see it in the results yet. And again, hard work. Students who work consistently hard, I've never seen a kid work consistently hard and not break through. I just haven't seen it. Some takes longer, yes, but the kids that keep going, they have their breakthroughs. It's the kids that stop, obviously you're not gonna have that breakthrough. So when you think about tournaments, you know, usually the kids remember, what do you remember from the tournament? Or what's the thing you're gonna remember from the last tournament you were at, generally? Your last bout, okay? So you made the 16 and you beat all these people, you did all these awesome things, there's a bunch of crappy calls or something happened or whatever, and you leave only thinking about that last bout. Okay, only one person like won the tournament. So you can throw out like, I used to see when parents just sent me the bout that their kid lost, you know, and it's like, okay, send me, like, I want to see the bouts where the kids are winning, but sometimes the answer is in like, yeah, like, what are they doing well? Did they keep doing that? Did they stop? You know, like, that is as important as like the bout that they lost. You know, you don't throw out, sometimes we get into this mindset of like, you're only thinking about the loss at the end, which again, 99.9% of the people in the tournament finish with a loss. You know, like, what are all the things you did well along the way? You know, and not just, oh, it was a bad call at the end or whatever else. So there's a lot to this like up and down thing, and so I just come back to like, you gotta enjoy it, you gotta enjoy the trips, you're getting to travel with your kids, spend time with them. Like you don't get to see your kids at school and see them interacting with people, right? You don't get to see it. Whenever we're there for parent-teacher conference, I'm looking around, seeing like, you know, we get to visit school, poking around how the kids do in class, but like in sports, you get to see your kids like winning, losing, they're already doing something really brave. I always tell people like, your kid's like out there, like being judged, literally. I mean, there's a referee literally judging them, right? There's people watching, and they're losing in front of people. That's not even something you have at school, right? Like everyone in the class could technically get an A, you know? In sports, it's very different. So your kids are building a lot of things through sports, not just fencing. All that stuff, helping them deal with losing, helping them confer with teachers. You work with us probably in a very different way than you work with your teachers at school. You know, like you're seeing your kids with their friends, how they deal with disappointment, how they deal with things, like, which you don't get to see. Like your kids are just at school, maybe the kids come home and tell you a story about something that happened at school. You know, like a lot of times in sports you get to see the story. So, okay. And then I just think understanding everyone's role is habit 7, and there's probably more habits, but basically the 3 main groups, students, parents, coaches, we have to like be on the same page. We have to work productively together. I actually love like as the kids go from like, you know, 8, 9, 10 to teenage years, they stop listening to their parents, but like maybe they're still listening to us, and we can provide that message. Like my parents are always like, you know, you tell my kid to drink water. He's like, if I tell him to drink water, he's like, get out of my face. But when you do it, he drinks it, you know? So I see some parents smiling. So like we're like your ally too as your kids go through being teenagers. I always like see when the kids come in at 13 and they get coming all grumpy from school, and I'm like, okay, we've hit the teenage phase. Like they're all happy-go-lucky at 10 or 11, but then as they hit like junior year, they kind of calm down, you know, and everything else. So we want to be together with you on it, but I think the important parts are coaches coach, like you got to let us coach. Students need to fence, like as much as we want to help our kids, and I have kids now, like we can't go on the strip and do it for them. I can tell you now, watching my own kids as a parent, I'm way more nervous as a parent than I ever was as a fencer or as a coach. Like I'm like literally trying to keep my stuff together when my kids are fencing, because I'm like a little heart will break. When my kid gets hit hard, like, oh, you know, or they lose and they're crying, and I wish I could like run out there and like parry their opponent, hit him in the head, or like, you know, help give them the exact thing they need to win. And it's hard, it's really hard, but it's really important that you guys like let us coach, like take these situations where there is disappointment, again, easier said than done, as like part of the learning, things that you're gonna actually help your kid to become like well-adjusted adults, and like how to deal with challenges, right? In life, you don't just win, you win and lose, and bad things happen and good things happen. So I know we get upset about the referees and stuff, but it's like, listen, you might be the most qualified for a job, and you go, and the people that are hiring judge you down here. You know, that's life. That's happens in fencing. You did something good, but yes, in life, everything we go through, the judge may not be, they might like something else someone else does. You know, so I think these are real life sort of things to deal with, but in not a life or death, you know, situation. So take all these things and disappointment as part of like the work we're doing to help your child grow up to be like amazing adults. And all our kids who are now like 18, 19, 20, like it's amazing to see them. Some of them have been here this week, Gabriel, Barbara, Madison, like, and I just remember them still like 10, 11, 12, and how they've grown up. and they're like generally pretty well adjusted, right, Nora Luisa? How's Gabriel? Okay. So I think for parents, it's really important to, be supportive. Yesterday we were doing the sports psychology one. They talked about the car ride home. So I think like, how do you think about the car ride home? Being supportive of the kids. I would say it's really important not to allow your kids to make excuses. It was a tough one. I always use an example like Will Morrill, like the Morrill family. Like I remember one of the boys came off and was like, this ref was giving the call, and the parents were like, do not like say anything about the ref. It's like, and when we see, let's say there are bad calls, but I'm always looking at like, if we missed 3 reposts, the score wouldn't have been 14-14. You know what I mean? One touch, you just like completely blanked and they hit you. So yes, we always had the mindset when we were traveling, we had to score 18 touches to win a 15 touch bout. So if I got to 18, I still lost, maybe I'd be upset about the ref, but I knew I'm gonna have to overcome a few bad calls. Sometimes you get the calls, but we tend to forget that also. Like there are bouts that we've won that we shouldn't have won, and there's bouts that we lost that we should have won. So generally, I don't think any referees in the US are out to, screw any kid. There's just, they might like something more, like something less, but it's really important, like, not let them make excuses. Okay, it's important because that just takes it off of like, what do we have to do at practice? That's why with some of the work we've been doing with like, what was happening in the matches. There was a match we watched last year where the student, the mom was for sure like, the coach came out and told the other kid something that like flipped the score around in the second half. And then we watched the match and video, because again, you leave a tournament like just with the emotional part of it. When we actually watch a video, that student never changed. Like we actually changed. We got nervous and we started jumping back early. We took that as like we got out-coached. And I'm like, listen, maybe there are some bouts we get out-coached. When we went back and watched that, I'm like, I could be open to we got out-coached by this coach. But the offensive never changed actually. We actually changed. So I think it is important like to think about tournaments, give it a few days usually. It's really hard right after the tournament, you're lost or upset, to accurately judge what happened at the tournament. And then you have to like, go look at the videos. We gave the kids a framework, see where like, hey, here's where you were scoring touches. We could have done more of that. Like the kids are really smart. Fence kids are really, really smart. If you watch it out with them and they have the framework that we've done with a lot of them in the last year, we go like, okay, when I was pulling distance, I was scoring 60% of the time, and whenever I attacked, I was scoring 20%. And at the end of the bout, we kept attacking. I always tell the kids like, where are you scoring your points? There was a bout where at a recent World Cup, I knew that the opponent was really good at doing preparation. I knew that if we kept fake starting, we were going to pull this guy short, who was one of the top fencers in Italy. And every time we like fake started, like we literally scored 80% of touches. But then we kept sometimes just going and getting hit in prep. And it's literally like, the only thing you gotta look at is like, hey, you were scoring 70-80% here, like you just had to keep doing this. Those are the more productive conversations you could have about a match. Like who was coaching, the ref, all that stuff. It feels good to feel like we just lost because we got like, screwed, but I think ultimately in the long term, it doesn't get the kid in the mindset of like, okay, where could I have done better? Okay, it was 14-14, it was a terrible call. Let's watch the whole bout and see if they're played. Did you fence a perfect match? There were 3 or 4 places you could have done something better. Like that's where we got to focus. And most of the kids who have gotten through, it's like that's where you kind of have to be. And again, not easy, especially right at the tournament. That's why it's important to kind of come back to matches like a few days after. So building long-term success habits. So I just say consistency is really important in your training. We've had, again, in my head is like a list of like things people have done that I know really hurt their fencing, things they've done, but like every tournament we had a student, every tournament they had a bad result, they wanted to switch coaches. They switched coaches in clubs like 8 times, okay? That wasn't productive. Most kids, like, they're gonna get, if they stay consistent with the club, they probably will get to the same results, especially when we're talking about the clubs that are in this area, the strong ones. You've got really good coaches. We have really good coaches, other clubs have really good coaches, and every club has the same stuff too. Every kid has things that happen. Yes, there are times when there's like, could be a better match for a student, like that's true, but switching every time there's like a bad result is not the answer. I try as much as I can with students I work with to have them feel as comfortable as possible with whoever is with them coaching them, because I do feel the work is what we do at practice. And if you look, as you go up higher and higher, it's like at a World Cup now, it's like really during pools, we're far away from athletes. And when we were in Korea, we were like 2 balconies up from the floor. Like, what can we really do? The kids are out there, they have defense, So, and then honestly, when you go international too, you have like people from other clubs sometimes coaching our students. We have 3 kids and 2 coaches, and they all fence at the same time. Like, you might have another coach coaching one of our students, but they need to know how to fence. They need to know how to fence. So I think like building that independence. That like, yes, when we're coaching a student, that's a partnership too. Like, there are times when I'm talking to older students, I'm just telling them what the other fencer has done and how do you want to handle it. I don't need to go on the strip. I feel like honestly my best coaching is I'm just standing there and the kid's executing. And if I'm seeing like, okay, they got hit in prep, the next thing they should do is maybe like slow down, and they do it. It's like, then I don't want to have to micromanage a kid through a bout every touch, because I know you're not gonna. What are you gonna do when that coach is not there? So we try to like everything here is to like get them to understand the moves, the systems. That yes, we can support them when we're coaching, and that is an important relationship. But everything shouldn't fall apart because you don't have like the one person with you, and no one has that, right? If you're at a good club, okay, any good club is a bunch of good students, more students than if you have 10 good students, you're not gonna have 10 coaches match with those 10 students, and they all have one person all the way through. It's not realistic. So having them feel comfortable with many people, having them know Leo, it's like if we work on something, I think he knows go do it at the tournament. Maybe the coach tells you something a little bit different, he's something with you, but keep doing. It's okay. Keep doing what we've been doing in our lesson. So staying prepared and organized. Obviously, health and recovery is really important. And again, it go on forever, but the rest of this, I just want to stop and take questions. And why don't we start with yours? You want to re-ask your question? Where do we start? Okay. So everyone in this room is probably at different places in their fencing journey. Okay, there's people who just start, so what I might tell you if you're just starting out with someone is very different from maybe the information that Leo needs right now or Madeline. So when you're just starting out, I think part of it is you just have to go and do. So if you're going your club tournaments are a good place to start when you're competing. You're gonna show up and not know everything. You're gonna not realize you needed fencing pants. Marcus Pinto, when we were at Y10 Nationals, had a 5-blade, and got upset he needed a 2-blade. Just part of it is you go to the tournament, go to the club tournaments, talk to parents. The first thing, even signing up for your first club tournament, I would say it's a lot of work to go from when we take a kid from a trial lesson to them even doing a club tournament is a crazy amount of work. All the equipment, they got a US fencing membership, all this stuff. It's already for us a huge victory when a kid does a club tournament because they're already on their way to figuring stuff out. Start time, I gotta check in. Oh, I need 2 sabers, all that stuff. Then you go to your first regional tournament. And by the way, these tournaments are not all well run. And you just start I know our parents, once you've gone to 10, 15, 20, you just start to go, okay, you know what you have to do and you know your kid, we gotta arrive at this time. So some of it's just jump in the deep end, but go in as a learning expert. We're gonna learn as we go. I can tell you a million things, but when you start experiencing it's just a different learning piece. So you have to forgive yourself. We went to this tournament and we didn't have the right level glove, and you're running and scrambling to get the right glove. All that is kind of normal stuff along the way. So I just encourage you jump in, do stuff like this. The US Fencing website is a good resource. Fencing Time Live, there's probably 3 or 4 resources. Fencingtracker.com, when your kid starts competing, has all their results on it. Fencing Time Live is where the tournaments are run, but you just kind of have to experience it. I couldn't sit here and tell you exactly everything, but go to the tournament, then you're gonna get kind of a baseline of where you should be, right? You're gonna see other kids at the club, understand what your kid's age is, and take those first 10, 15 tournaments. I remember going with Annika and our girls to Cobra that first time, and they were all crying, right? And no, it's okay. They were all, but it was they're like, oh my God, the nervousness and this big crowded room and everything else. And it's like, I remember that day, I was like, we're here at the starter's journey. And now like, you go to Cobra and you're like, okay, right? You're a cool customer now. Right? So it just takes time, like as you go through it. You guys are adding to that?
Yeah, maybe. So,
See, I talk so much, your mic turn.
maybe also, depending on the age of the kids, that can help a lot to know where to start. Because one of the things Tim mentioned in the slide was setting the goals. Maybe you just start and you don't know what goals to set, what to expect from it, or where to go, which path to take. I think that's where it's important to just get out there, try it out. And then talking with the coach that can help address, because when we start working with the kids, depending on the age, we're trying to look at two things, their strengths, their weaknesses. Because when we see their strength, we can appreciate what we can use to do it. That's what we call their superpower. There might be one thing that they can do better than any other kids in their age group, or they can do in a very good way. And in their weaknesses now, we have to see how we can strengthen it if possible, or how can we adapt it towards their progression. And then from there, as we go, the kids themselves, they'll start expressing themselves. They'll start showing this is what we're capable of. So you will have, for example, we'll start getting clear. We'll start getting clear.
Yes, want to say that? Yeah. Depends on the age of the children. I think that our duty is, the biggest part is with small kids is we have the duty to participate to the education of these guys. So we are not only fencing coach, we are part of the growth of these guys, and this is a big responsibility. Because I'm a father too, so, and I bring my sons to a place. I want to feel that they are safe, they receive the right education, the right knowledge to prove, to understand how to play sport or instruments, to play music, I don't know. And this is our responsibility. So first you have to know that here is a safe place where the guys can grow in the right way. And we want an exchange in this with you, because if there's problems, if there's trouble, we can understand and support better the growth of these guys. This is one part. This is the part of the personal. The sport part, we start to teach a game, not a sport, a game. So the pleasure, enjoy the process is not only come and smile. To feel that you are learning something important, something deep, something that you can use in your life. Because fencing is like a life. The bout is like a life. It's a metaphor. It's the same. And this is the other part of our responsibility. And the road to learn the sport, this game, is very long, and it's individual. It's not the same for each guy. So each guy has his own road, longer, shorter. This way, the important is to give the tendency. Okay, but it can be this. It must be this normally. We will push. We will give our best in both directions. This is very important. So the club is the way, is the place where the children are safe. We take care about them and we try to teach them a game. This game is full of the best value that we need, all people need. Respect the rules, respect yourself, to understand what we need to arrive where we would like. Do it. We can't complain if we don't train enough. It's simple. If I have to do the homeworks for the school, we do it. The training is the same. It's the same. So we have to train to be better, more or less. talk with us, ask. We will find an adjustment between the school, what they need to school, what they need to do another sports or something else, and what they need to be better in fencing. We will find a balance, but don't complain if there no results, no training. Doesn't work. But it's the same for everything. It's simple.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so we understand if you train more, you definitely get the results, and most of people want to get results. But that's probably for older kids. So my son is only 8 years old. So my thinking is between train more, get the results, so he has more confidence and like the sports more. And I also have concern about, because this is a symmetric sports, there's injuries. Also, I'm concerned if, like, I heard that there's 8, 9-year-old train 20 hours every week. For me, that's too much. I worry about early on they train that much and they might burn out later. So how do you balance at this age how much training is ideal? Like you all have kids. When your kids at this age, how much training you put them through?
I'm just gonna do so they can hear us on the stream because they can't hear the questions. So I'll probably next person I'll give you the mic. So the question is, with kids 7, 8, 9, what's the right amount of training, not overdoing it, right? Like to set things up. So I will say so my kid Jack and Zoe my kids are 9, and I mean honestly having twins, I see like how different they both are. Like my kids train, we train 3 days a week. If you are scheduled for 3 days a week, you will probably average 2 days a week. I'll just say that for a second. So I have a very long-term view with them. Like I want them to well, first of all, just selfishly, like the coach's schedule is pretty hard. Like I'm working from 3 to 8, so I see them in the morning. If they don't like fencing, like I'm not even gonna see them. Like I want them to come to fencing, and I like want them to want to be here. Like that's actually my top priority is like I want them to be here. Then obviously I want them to have a good foundation in what they're doing. And kids have also different work capacities. Like there are some kids who at a young age can do a lot more, and that's one of the things we feel out. Especially the boys who are younger, like for a lot of them, their coordination is very floppy. The girls actually at 7, 8, 9 are way more coordinated than the boys. Like you can see if you look at the girls, they get better on guards, better movements, and the boys are like this. Like I know if I have a boy who's 7, 8 years old, or even my son, if you made Jack sit into a deep on guard when he was starting, even still, he would have hated it. So it's even the judgments we make is with the kid, how much am I gonna, I'm gonna play with this play, in the lesson, I'm gonna let this stuff go, I'm gonna play with them, I'm gonna push a little bit. When I push a little bit, do they push back? And it's bringing them sort of along. There's some kids, we have some 6, 7-year-olds who can take a lesson and they could probably go for an hour, very rare. More likely, when I have a 7-year-old or 8-year-old, it's keeping their attention for 20 minutes is hard. So it is actually individual by individual basis. I don't think, for me, it's not a good idea to train 5, 6 days a week when they're 7, 8, 9. I don't, you just look at what I do with my kids and who I have my kids training with. I think if my kids want to be really good at fencing and they get to that point, they're getting the right setup right now. They don't need to have certain things yet. I want them to enjoy it. I want them to have fun coming here. I want I really appreciate Annika was fencing Zoe the other day. My daughter really looks up to our 10, 11-year-old girls. She goes home and talks about Annika and different girls. It's I love that Zoe's around some older girls who are good role models for her. So I think, I give this a spiel I give for everything. Any activity. If you do something twice a week, so for those people who are starting, you get 3 times more out of it than if you do it 1 day a week. Our data, I'm a very data-oriented person. Kids that do 1 day a week, that means 4 practices in a month. They're probably gonna miss at least 1, right? Sick, holiday, something. Now you're down to 3 times in a month. And then in between those sessions is longer time. So if I get a kid back after 1 week, they're retaining less, right? If I have a kid twice a week, it's like I can go, they're gonna remember more when they get to me, you know, like 2 days later than if it's like 7 days or then they're sick and it's 2 weeks. So like even with like my web, like if they're gonna do tutoring or whatever's gonna be, it's better we do it twice a week because I want 7 days pass or 2 weeks pass. It's like their muscle memory is not gonna be there. So I think any activity you're doing like 1 day a week is our statistics show, our statistics. If kids do 1 day a week, they're just not gonna continue. It's like the things that kids need are enjoy the activity, the bond with coaches is really important, making friends, right? And then feeling like they're making progress. And those things change over time. Like when the kids get into the point where they're competitive, making progress maybe becomes more important than friends. They still want to have friends, but like now they're focused on, I come at school, I have friends, but I want to work and do X, Y, Z. So with every kid is different. I don't recommend 5-6 days a week. I hate when a kid like burns out. Like there's a lot of kids that go to college and they just stop fencing. And it's like, oh my God, you know, like you did all this like traveling and everything, you put yourself, but like they're just like over it. They miss like everything. So it's balancing like, yes, there's gonna be sacrifice if you wanna be a high level fencer. Like it's impossible to do anything high level without some sacrifice in other areas, but it is also a long-term, like long-term journey. So I think like 3 days a week for me is a good number when it comes to kids who are 7, 8, 9. Okay, there could be some kids that do 4. I don't think 5, 6, whatever is good. You just don't want to burn out the kid. I think, especially like if they're going to start missing like every birthday party, every school activity from 7, 8, 9, it's just they're going to hate it more and more like as they get up and feel like they missed out. You are going to miss out on stuff. Like our older kids who are traveling, they were overseas 40 days, they did miss things, they missed prom and other stuff like that. So I think it's just a balance. It's honestly different with every kid, but like just coming from us as a club, I would say like, I always encourage like 3 days a week. Start if it's two classes in a lesson, then go to 3 and 2, but not being at like 5 coming 5-6 days a week when they're that age.
8 years old is good to have other experience, sport experience, to avoid the early specialization. So they grow in a multidisciplinary sensation, so it's better. And then when you arrive around 10, you can make a choice and go and train more. When I was a kid, I loved to stay in my club 5 days a week, 5 hours to play. I didn't play only fencing. I played soccer, basketball, everything. But I loved to stay in the fencing hall, in the fencing club. It's what I loved, and my parents did it. They support me on this. But it was mine. It was my baby. But at the same, to give you an answer, 3 times a week is okay, but don't do only fencing. More than push on fencing. Yes.
At that age, 7, 8, 9, any sport your kid's doing should be building like their motor skills. And like, yes, fencing is asymmetrical. So like, as the kids get older, it's like doing physical workouts and stuff outside of fencing that becomes important. But like any sport, tennis, like if a kid's doing tennis, like if they're teaching them, if you have a good tennis instructor, it's gonna help their fencing, right? They're doing footwork, they're moving back and forth like this, it's like, that's gonna translate on the fencing strip. And what they're doing in fencing is gonna translate on the tennis strip. Because we're gonna have them down, changing direction, stop, starting, coordinating their hands, like all that stuff when they're at the younger ages, like any sport should be like motor skills, until the kid has their motor skills down. It's like you can't really teach something so complicated.
That's actually what I wanted to add, because at that age, yes, in general we think about 4 aspects to developing a kid: their personality, their physical capabilities, the understanding of the game, and their technique. So all 4. Now, if you consider if you have a kid of 8, at that age, it's not very easy for all of them to jump, to catch, to change direction, like Tim said, or even knowing about speed. We have to teach them each one of those. Now, at that age, the motor skills has to be the main thing we insist on. Now, the motor skills are related to whatever we want them to do in the technical part coming later. Like Coach Giovanni said, at 9, 10, then we start drilling exactly the technique. But at the early age, 8, 9, we have to develop their motor skills, the habits that we want them to have, controlling their body, being stable, recognizing the speed, recognizing the distance, all those small details would be interesting to do that. But again, it has to come in a way of them playing, enjoying being there. Because let's not forget that at that age, they are not fences yet. They are participants of the sport. Now, we have to get them fall in love more with the sport, develop their interest. At the same time, we have to develop also the interest of the parents. So those are periods where the relation between the coach, the students, and the parents will develop. So definitely 3 days a week is the maximum for us. Most of the youth, even on the website when we talk about the youth program, you will see we advise every time to do 3 group classes at that age, maximum 2 lessons, so they can start building those basics with the lessons, the technique. But that age, motor skills, fall in love more with the sport, develop the right habits. That's what it's needed.
I'm going to pass you the mic this time so our folks at home can hear.
As a parent, especially parents don't know much about the fencing, how should we engage with the coach to understand the progress the kids are able to make? And what are the right questions we should ask a coach from time to time? Thank you.
Can I just say, like, it's something I think about all the time, honestly, all the time. And even with my wife, if she's like, I was like, why did you explain that to me when we went to the tournament? It's different with different students and parents. I think we had a conversation about what exactly is my plan for the student? Like, what are we working on this week? Like, and I think my struggle and part of the reason why we're doing this is like, how do I get more information to people about like what we're doing, and then what's realistic? Like, what can we actually do with parents consistently, right? So I would say, like, generally when it comes to the training, like especially younger kids, there's like a foundation of things that we are working on all of them with, and even if I have like the same 5 activities maybe I'm going to do in my lesson that day, like what they might look like with each kid is different. So it's like a system that you're building as they go. You're like adding pieces onto it. So I don't actually have an amazing answer, because I remember talking about like, what's the plan? What are we working on this week and this week and this week? And it is hard for me to think like through every kid, do I have like a detailed plan that I can write out for each kid? But it was a fair thing to say. And I'm like, I do every kid I have like in my head, like what is I'm working with them, and I'm constantly writing, but how do I get to where I can write out for you, like, here's the exact thing I'm working on this week is a tough one with the timing of what we do. But I do think when it comes to like students are asking, okay, like until they have they go to tournaments, I'm not looking yet in the beginning like the win or the loss. I'm actually watching like, are they executing like the moves that we're doing? So it's like, I remember I showed a video of one of our students. He was losing all these battles, but it was like he had just started, went to a tournament, and it's like he went in and he like did a preparation step and he stopped, and then when he saw the kid lunging, he stepped back. Now he missed every repost, but I was like, he's already doing that. Like, I didn't care that he lost 5-1. I'm like, he's doing that. When the other kid stopped, he took off and took the reprise attack. He got parried every time, but I'm like, I can work on the hit at the end. The fact he's already doing like the pull and reprise, I'm like, this is beautiful, beauty to my eyes, like for a kid that was fencing like 3-4 months, even though it was like loss. So I think as a parent, I think one is talk to your kid. Like I would hope most of the kids, like we're talking to them constantly about slowing down their speed, being in control of what they're doing. Leo, what am I working on with you? What? Being in control. Yeah, what about your body position? Like upright, like we're talking to the kids as we're working with them, so I also like talk with them as well. It is hard to say like I'm gonna have a detailed like thing to give everyone, because I don't want to set myself up for what we can and can't do. But I don't know if you better answer, but it's with the kids, it's like I'm just, it's always the work just on the foundation first.
Yeah. Yes, right. And normally I say to the students, ask me why I teach you this thing, why this is right, what is wrong. So you can understand the reason, the deep reason, because you have to make one thing in one direction, not in another one. To give an answer to your question, not everybody will be Olympic champion. This is clear. But what you have to ask to us is to give to your son our best. So it means that we will work every single day with them in the best direction that we think is right. So you must be sure about this, no doubt about this. And if you have a doubt, ask why. What is your opinion? I prefer to be clear, maybe sometimes hard, but if I'm clear, there's not any doubt. Okay? So it means that you will receive my best for your son. Every single moment in this club.
Or daughter. Yes.
Yes.
And daughter. It's like
Yeah, okay. And so this is our duty. You must be sure about this. Where we will arrive, the results we will reach, we will not say we will be Olympic champion, but they have all of them. They have to reach the maximum, their maximum potential.
Leo Shapiro. That's the control we're talking about, Leo.
If we are able to do this, we are fantastic. But we'll try to do this every single day. This is the consistency. Every single day, every single touch, every single action. Every week, every month, every year. The direction is this. The tendency. Okay?
And for you guys with the kids who are growing up, I just want to say there's always things like kids hit puberty at different times. So we had like a group of boys, and it's like a few of them shot up, and it's like their results went boom. Okay? And there was one who didn't grow right away. Okay? And the parents were like, oh my God, those kids are getting better, but they're getting the same training. The kid's technique was still getting better, but he just hit puberty like later than them, right? By the time he hit his growth spurt, boom, his results went back up. So like, there's a lot of stuff, like age always makes a big difference. There are like a few outliers. We have one or two at this club who do really, really well, like age up categories. Most of the time, you're gonna see like, if you're in Y12, it's a 12-year-olds. If you're really in a Y12 like event with 12-year-olds, they're gonna be making the results. And sometimes you're growing with a group of, like you're in a group, and some people are gonna hit puberty and grow and be stronger and faster and everything, and those things do even out over time, but people start to misread that. Like we've had some kids that they hit growth spurts later than other people, you know, and it looks like their results aren't as good. Their fencing technique is just as good, but yes, if someone is a foot taller than you, and it's not just the height, it's the strength, the coordination that comes with that, it can make a difference. It evened out later on, but I remember it's like the parents like, well, his results are getting worse, he was up here, but I'm like, I know, but he's really tiny right now, and he grew. It's not just the height, it's just strength, the power, everything else. All those things people can start to misread. So I always say, like, I know people always want to compare like one kid to another, my kid to like this or that student. I can tell, like, every group that we've had, like 5, 6 kids who are kind of coming up together, there was different points where like one of them was beating the rest of them. And it flip-flopped all around, like every year someone else, boom, boom, here, they were all training, that happens. There's kids like you don't know yet who they put some things together. It's like, I would say like putting together like a car. So like, if you have a beautiful like engine, but you're like have one tire like on the steering wheel, okay, you have all these parts, but the car is not gonna go very fast or anywhere yet. It's like, the kids might have all these really good parts, but it's like getting them all in the right place to go. So like, we've had kids, again, like Robert Wang's a good example. Like, he had all these really good parts, and we saw all these really good parts, but he hadn't quite put them all in the right place for the car to zoom, but I'm seeing this part develop and that part develop and that part develop. And then once it all came together, boom, the car went. So there are times where you're developing things and you're not seeing the car go faster yet because like there's some parts that are like a little off. Okay, the steering wheel is where the tire should be. Okay, so you have a really nice engine, but it doesn't matter. So there's all these like components where a kid can jump whole groups of people, you know, when the right things like click together. So I know it's always like a tendency to like look at one kid, you know, and by the way, everyone does the same thing. Like someone said, oh, my kid used to beat that kid, and now that kid's beating him. But there's probably some kids that your kid was losing to that they're beating and someone else is saying the same thing. So like progress is not this like, I wish it was just like this straight line up. Progress is like you go up, you plateau, sometimes you go down. Like if there's maybe something that worked in Y10 or Y12, it's not gonna work at Y14. So when you like are trying to give up those habits that helped you succeed at Y12, but they're not gonna help you succeed, are building houses, okay? And I'll make myself, I start putting twigs together, okay, and he's gonna build a house that can go up 100 stories. My house is gonna look much bigger than his for the first X number of months. But he's been pouring concrete down here, and now his house can go up 100 stories. My twig house, it can't go very far, right? My twig house is gonna blow over in the wind. So that's some of this work at the young ages, like if they have the foundation and the kids want it, then they can keep going up. You might see some kids at young age, they have little tricks and things like that, but it's a house that's twigs. You know, it's gonna blow over. The kid who's building the right habits, the foundation, if they want it, they're gonna be able to keep putting, you know, stories on top of their house. And I try to pride ourselves on like, our kids are building, like they're gonna have a strong foundation, like at our club. And they're gonna be able to go as far as their work and energy and everything else takes them. But if they don't have a strong foundation, you can show something at a young age, but it's not gonna mean anything later on also. Other questions?
You mentioned you just mentioned, you keep mentioning videos like of the competitions. Who's videoing them?
The parents are. Okay, so great question. So I think really great things that parents can do at tournaments. So get their kid on time to the tournament, like with enough time to warm up and check in stuff. Make sure they like sleep, not just the night before the tournament, because kids who might be nervous and have a hard time sleeping. Make sure they're sleeping like the night before the tournament, because yes, they might be nervous and they might stay up, but if they've been sleeping pretty well, like one rough night of sleep isn't going to impact them. Like get them to the venue enough time to warm up. Video their fencing matches, like very helpful. Gives you something to do too, to like take your nervous energy, and support them and cheer for them. Give them water, give them food. Don't let them eat like something terrible, and be supportive of them. So I think like videoing the match is very helpful. I would watch it with them as well. Again, I would wait a day or two after a tournament, but you know, then watch them after that. We have time, like, ask me questions. If you always ask me questions in the middle of running around, them, like, please. Happy to answer, like, any question you have. Ask Tim anything. Yeah.
Just if you're emerging onto the tournament cycle, my daughter's a little older. What's the difference between a club tournament? What's the difference between the regional tournaments? How do the points work? How do they point right now? What's important? I think I've taken a lot out of what's important, the car rides, the support, getting to the venue. I've taken notes, I'm documenting everything. But just explain, like, I think getting the fencing time in is critical. So trying to get her signed up for club tournaments is great, but there is this mysterious like point system and then getting graded, and then what does all that mean? Where do you find that? Where do you learn that? Where, like, talking to some of the parents has been phenomenal, but like, where is that?
So usfencing.org is like the hub of fencing in the whole country. Okay. So there's a lot on their website. So I'll say a couple things. in for athletes, is the point standings. So club tournaments, and I think are really important for kids to gain experience, start to figure out and for you guys to start to see how they work. I also will add this before I go to the point things. It's really important that kids feel successful. Okay, so some parents they just start going to every hard tournament, and they leave club tournaments behind, they leave small tournaments behind. It's okay to do club tournaments. Some of our best kids did club tournaments when they're older. It's actually a different pressure when you feel like you should win or do really well. It's when you put together what tournaments you want to go to. Don't just go we've mastered regionals, so we're gonna completely skip them now. It may not mean you don't have to go to as many, but tournaments can mean different things. A regional event with some of my stronger fencers are let's go to that tournament and work on this thing. We don't care about your result. I want you we're working on this move. Do it there, because when you do it in a national tournament, it's gonna be more pressure, you're gonna be more nervous to do it. You gotta have a place to feel comfortable doing it. So club tournaments are, yes, a place for people to start competing, but I also think it's important that kids go to tournaments where they can do well. For kids you can tell them hey, this knack is super hard, but they do bad and it's still gonna feel bad, even though you can tell them. They go to a club tournament, it's a club tournament, but they win a medal, they still feel good. So I always say we're not talking about participation trophies, but I think it's important that kids do have some tournaments where they can win medals, and feel confident. Kira Lori, one of our students, she started late, and she was going to regional events and just getting destroyed. And she was I'm never gonna even win a regional DE. And she actually went out for the Rye Country Day team, and on that team, she was able to win 2 or 3 matches every time and realized she was good, and she got confidence there that kept her going. If she had just been going to regional tournaments and getting her butt kicked in the first round, she probably wouldn't have pushed through and caught up to people in the way that she did. So it is important that the tournament schedule for your kid has places where they can be successful, even if it's a small tournament. Going to tournaments, just getting really difficult tournaments over and over again, it's hard. Some of our older kids are just going to World Cups, and it's you're not getting I know it seems cheesy, but even winning a medal at something small, it still gives the kids something. So U.S. fencing, for athletes, there's the point standings list, which U.S. fencing may redo the whole thing. So you'll see each weapon that's there. For most of you, if you have youth students, there's the youth ranking list, and then you're going women's saber and Y12. Let's reload. And you'll see the list, and once you go, so regional events, you get points no matter where you finish. So I do again, once you start going to tournaments, just find where the points lists are. And by the way, your kids will start to know their points list and where people are ranked more than you will usually. They know everything. And you'll start to see basically you're earning. So group 1 are for kids who are cadet and junior. Group 1 are just national points. And group 2 for the older kids is international tournaments. So you can see here with Y12, you get to have 4 scores, okay? Now, you get your best Y12 result at an SYC, okay? That's all you can get is your best one. So if you win a Y12 SYC, you can't get any higher. You get your best if you get a Y14 SYC result, the points go down in our system. So the kids who are at the top here have a Y12 result that's really good, and a Y14 result from an SYC as well. And it's top 40% at SYCs get national points. Then it's March NAC and Summer Nationals are the 4 things you can fill out if you're Y10, Y12, Y14. But points always go down. So if Annika somehow fenced a senior NAC and she won it, she would be number 1 in Y12, Y14, it would go all the way, it goes all the way down. So unfortunately, it does encourage people to want to fence age up sometimes before they should. But when you start going to regional events, you'll just start to see we got this many points for that result. Then the two major sort of championships we have are the Junior Olympics and Summer Nationals. So then there's like a number of points you have to hit regionally to qualify for those. So for like Y10, if you just compete in a regional or a SYC, you qualify for Summer Nationals. Y12, you need like 70 points, 75 points. Y14 is a weird one, it's like 140 points, which can be kind of difficult. If you have national points, you qualified like automatically for like the championships, and those are the ones that are SYC.
And that's all in there, you can read all that? Okay.
Well, once you start going to stuff, like a regional event, you'll start to look at, you'll see where your kid, the good thing is everyone gets points at regional events, so you can start to see like where you are in the regional rankings, and start to realize how things get put together. So like, if you can't figure out everything right at the beginning, like it takes a little bit of time. Maybe there's a parent, I don't know, do you anyone want to share like their experience learning the point system? I'm gonna put you on the spot.
I'll try.
So for example,
for example, for the regionals, we're under Region 3. So just think of it as just Region 3. So there's a filter here somewhere, and that's the only thing that you need to know. And then what happens is for the regionals, no matter, let's say you're the last place, your kid was last place, she will get some points, but it will be like, I don't know, like 2 points something. So what you need is like, what they take is the best results, like the top 3 of your results. So for example, she joined 5 regionals. So it will be, the only thing that will matter will be the top 3. And those top 3 will be added together. So let's say her results were like 40, 40, 40, 10, 10, let's just say. So it's gonna be 120, right? That's just the top 3. So if she's is she Y12?
Y14 now.
Y14, I don't know, so for Y14, the minimum requirement to join Summer Nationals is now 160, I believe.
160?
They increased it, yeah. So 160. So because your kid only has 120, she's not yet able to qualify for nationals right now.
Right.
But there's like the second half of the season where she can try more regionals. If let's say she has like 50, 50, 60, you know, you see she's improving,
Okay.
then she'll be able to do the Summer Nationals. So that's like the basic.
All right, thank you.
It is one of the reasons why US Fencing wants to revamp their point system and make it simpler. I just want to show really quickly, I'll give you Annika's example also. So Annika's 53rd in the country in Y12 right now. She's 11, right? She's got 1 result showing, like probably from a Y12, so she makes Y14 points, right? Whatever result she'll have, she'll move up. Now I also say look at birth year, because she's 2014. So everyone is 2013, gonna be gone in a year. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Look at the top, like I just showed you, there's 1 outlier, a couple outliers. But everything, almost everyone up here is 2013. Okay, within the top 16, there's 3 kids who are 2014. So that's 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, I'm counting the 2013s. 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, almost to Annika, 31, 32, 33. Okay, so in her age category, there's 33 people who would age out. So so Annika is actually ranked 53 minus 33, right? So if she's 20th, she'll be 20th in the country in Y12 next year. Okay, or she's 20th in the country in her birth year. As I always say, like compare to, like look at the birth years more so than just like where you are on like one particular ranking list. Yes?
If your child is born in, say, the end of November, they're just screwed.
Yes.
So I also say, look, when we talk about age making a big difference, and I think there's like, those of you who read like those books like Outliers and stuff, like if you're born, I'll give an example. We had a student who was born December 30th, okay? And when he aged into Y12, he was getting destroyed, okay? He's competing against kids who could be 3 years older than him now. He ended up stopping fencing because you could just see it. Now, he could beat, we had some of the best Y10 fences in the country, and he could beat all of them. If he was born like 3 days later, okay, he would have been making top 8, top 4 in like every SYC. Like the kids we had at that time were like, who were Y10 were making top 8, top 4 in NACs. So like, born 3 days later and you're gonna think he's a prodigy, okay? Born 3 days earlier and you're like, oh, like, no, but those things will even out, but it is hard for a kid, right? Like this is in all sports to, like, you just is a huge physical difference. My kids are born in September, you know? So like, you'd rather, I don't know why I didn't make like time to be born in July or January or February. I wasn't thinking about like sports, but you know, then there are parents who like have their kids actually stay back a year so that they have like physically, developmentally for college, like, you know, they're able to show that. It does even out, but it is really hard when you're young, that when you're like born in December. And sometimes you have to look at that too, because when you're 9, 10, 11, like 6 months, 9 months, 12 months, it makes a really big difference. It makes a really big difference. Augusto, do you want to say something? Those about points?
I just wanted to simplify. I think what you're looking for is, what you're looking for also is how to find out how many points they're gonna get and how this goes. Regionals, there's a formula. That's it. So 160 sounds like a lot.
Yeah.
You go to several regionals, you get the top 3 results. That's gonna be about halfway on the table of the results, right? So then it becomes a little bit clearer.
Okay.
And then you go to the athlete handbook, that's where you're gonna find it there.
Okay.
There's a bunch of points. It's gonna show you the national points, how you get the points,
Okay.
the table for each one of them. Then you're gonna look, okay, so I got this result, I got these points, and then there you find the points.
Okay.
That's what I think you were looking for.
Yeah.
It becomes a lot simpler when you go through that and you spend a Saturday afternoon with a glass of wine looking to those things. I think that's what you're looking for before.
Thank you.
The club tournaments, no, you don't.
There's no real points for the club tournament. Yeah. We're gonna wrap in a few minutes. I want to just say a couple last things. I'll let you guys maybe have some endpoints here too, and we'll hang out if there are other questions. So a couple of points I guess I want to make as well. Like the kids are learning and we're learning too. So like every club is gonna have, like, no one has everything perfect, like in everything, right? If you're with us long enough, there are gonna be ups and downs. Like there's gonna be things that happen, but like I think our most productive relationships, we work with people like through everything, and we're learning too. And people are like, oh, you know, like the strip coach didn't help, but like, or like there was some bout, but you can talk to that coach. Like our coaches get better too. Like as I'm getting to know a kid, like there's different, but the way I coach one kid in a bout might be completely different from someone else. One kid's like, I need you to just like yell and like go, say go, go. I'm like, okay. You know, so we're not fixed either. Like we're growing, we want to grow with you. We're gonna learn, like your child's gonna learn about us, we're gonna learn about them. We're like, it's a relationship, like all of you have been in long-term relationships. Like if we have strong ones, there's like a communication and trust there. Especially as we go through like hundreds of tournaments. I think like we cover tournaments as well as anyone does. The amount of tournaments we cover plus doing the club, but not like we can't, there's a lot we can't control either. You know, like how tournaments are run, if everyone ends up in the same like flight, things start to overlap. So I just always like to think like our best relationships, like we work with people, and nothing's gonna be like perfect. Like when I made my jump, I had an epic coach, and I didn't really have any strong training partners. I just like basically did a ton of footwork. I started working out. I tried to make myself like as strong an athlete as I could, and like I took what I had there to help myself get better. You have plenty here to like go as far as you want to go, but no one has everything. And I would see like some of the things I'll tell you, like there's always this like fear of like FOMO, like someone is doing something that like we're not doing, you know. And by the way, everyone has the same thing. Like they're like, what are they doing at Morehouse? What are they doing at this club? What are they doing at that club? You know, we had a parent once who, and so I say like also like who's your source of like knowledge that it's like not everyone has your best interest in the information they give you. This especially be the case when your kids start getting older and talking about colleges. But there was a parent at another club said like, oh, we do like video analysis of all, at our club, like all the Y12, Y14 fencers. And this parent, like, by the way, it was a club that like I know very well. And I'm like, there's no way they're watching every Y12, Y14 fencer and doing video analysis. Like, to analyze one fencer, like if we did that with a kid, it takes like an hour. They would never be able to practice. And they're not like gonna spend their time watching like every Y14 fencer in the top 40, you know. But this parent thought that, they panicked like everybody, like, oh my God. And by the way, what happened, this is where like people want to undermine your confidence in your training, okay? So now what happens, the kid gets on the strip, and what are they thinking when they fence that club?
You're scared.
Yeah, they know what I'm gonna do. And then then our kid's nervous, and they start giving up touches because they're like, they know what I'm gonna do, you know? And then it becomes a thing, like they got me scouted. And it's like, that family went to that club, and by the way, they've never done video review the entire time they're there, you know? So people do try to undermine, like if people undermine your confidence in the training, the kid's gonna get on the strip going like, oh my God, like they've got something I don't. Like you have everything you need here. So like I want you to have confidence. Like we've had, the worst someone can say about our club is that they've had like multiple Olympians, like good people around them and good training. Even if those Olympians have changed, like I feel like I view my role is to put the best possible program around our kids and the best possible coaches. And I feel confident like anyone who's been at our club has had really, really, really good coaches. Yes, sometimes they change, but you've got amazing people around you, you know? And as you guys go out in the world, just really be on the lookout for things people are gonna say to you to make you be like, oh wait. Like I always say this, anyone can look at a building and see something that's wrong with the building, okay? But how many people can actually build the building? And like I know as like a parent, like you always want to know like what is my child, like where are they messing up or whatever. Any coach can come up to you and be like, oh yeah, you know, kids got to work on X, Y, Z. And you're like, oh, my coach is not working on this. That coach clearly sees it. Like we know we're working on all those things with your kid. But people will go up and say like, oh yeah, like you see Leo's attack needs a lot of work. And you're like thinking like, oh my God, this person's giving me the answer. Like sometimes I tell people like the answer is that we got to keep training consistently. And yes, we're working on all those things. But someone's gonna say, yeah, you got to work. If you come to me, I'll help Leo fix his attack. You're looking for the thing that's wrong, you know? And then it's like, you internalize it. This happens, it happened to me when I was at my club, like when I was training, is like, when you go up higher and higher, psychological kind of warfare becomes more and more. But like, be careful with like the information, who you take information from. And we try, like literally the only interest I have is the best results for your kids. So there's just a lot of like little games and things as you go through the world. Who's your source of knowledge? Don't like, here's where I think that the trust of the coach is also really important. Like we have sometimes like, if you start competing, like the best kids we develop, they come up in groups together. And yes, sometimes different kids pass each other, but kids join the group and get stronger. But when sometimes the parents start competing with each other also, and I would say like one thing to avoid is feel like you're competing with the other parents to your kid, and like someone starts doing like 2 extra lessons here, and then the other person ups to 2, and then the other person at like, you know, there was a point where it was 3 people, I was like, they were like, well, we're taking 10 lessons a week. But like, no one here told you to take 10 lessons a week. Like, we're paying all this money for 10 lessons a week, but like, I didn't say take 10 lessons a week. So it's like, people will start to, I mean, we're at a summer national, it's like, we have a lot of kids. I want them to be like, their warm-up routine should be like something very familiar we can do every time. So there's some clubs that do warm-up lessons, stuff like that. Every once in a while we do it. But if a kid gets used to a warm-up lesson, it is impossible in our system that every single tournament you get a warm-up lesson. You know, but I remember one summer nationals, like one kid did it, and then like everyone started wanting to get warm-up. I don't have a warm-up lesson. The day before new lesson. And it's like, we've been doing really, really well without doing that. You know, like but people kind of work themselves up into like, again, just fear that like, I'm not doing everything I need to for my kid. They're doing this. Then people start sneaking there, sneaking that. We had parents that didn't want other parents to know what tournaments they would go to the point that they would register as late as possible, pay like triple fees, because they don't want other people, I don't know, that kid's gonna like follow what tournament like my kid goes to. You know, so like all those things just get you into a really small place. You know, like enjoy the journey with your kid. Be careful what people say to you. If you have a question, like you can come ask me. Like people start to spread, like not everyone has your best interest. You know, like it's really, really hard to build good culture. It's really easy to break it. And yes, there can be times when there are people who are, you know, spreading negativity. I would just say like avoid those people. If you want to enjoy this, like anything, like if you're just spending around your time, people are complaining or whatever else, like it's gonna just make yourself miserable. You know, like if there's really something, like come talk to us. But like just looking at like the worst of any place, you're gonna, you know, there's a lot. There's plenty of stuff here. There's plenty of stuff we're working on. Last analogy was like I was watching the OJ documentary, just on Netflix, and they were like this. They like made an analogy about spaghetti, and it was like basically if spaghetti was the evidence, like in that trial they had like the biggest bowl of spaghetti ever, and it was like really, really good spaghetti with like the best meatballs and tomato sauce. So you have this amazing bowl of spaghetti, but if you found like one nasty thing in the spaghetti, like a roach or something, right? Like you wouldn't want to eat the spaghetti anymore, right? So, you know, I'm not saying you should eat the spaghetti if you find a roach in spaghetti, but just remember there's like, what are all the things that we have, going for us, okay? What are things we can work on with you? Nobody has everything perfect. Lee Kiefer, who's multi-time Olympic gold medalist, came up in Kentucky, not a lot of training partners, okay? My biggest jumps, I didn't have a lot of training partners. Some people get fixed on, we don't have enough training partners. Then some people get upset when they have too much training partners because then their kid's not getting enough attention. So there's like an opposite end to like every last thing you could say, right? When we have tons of people at fence, people feel that they're not getting enough attention. We don't have enough people at fence, we don't have enough people at fence, but it's like, then someone gets upset when other people come. So there's like, you just have to balance the good with the bad with all of it. And, you know, I hope we're just a place that you understand what every day is what I think about and do, really care about your kids. I think to their point, like we want, number one, safety and well-being. We want like, you drop them off with us, they're gonna be in a really good place. And we're gonna do everything that we can to help get them as far as they can, and we're not perfect, you know? So yeah, if you have any closing thoughts, and then we'll let everyone go on their way.
I mean, I'd probably say this, to us, every single kid that walks in the club is a project. That's why the first questions or all the information we try to get is to know about their age, their expectations, what they are, what are their strengths and their weaknesses to work on their project. We make sure to build a strong program that will make sure that they will achieve the highest possible level for them, depending on their specific time of progression. We will make sure that the training is as high as possible in matter of quality, in attention, and it will make them take the next step every day. Because we have to, even ourselves, that's the standard we put ourselves. We set our standard in a way that we have to get better every day. We have to get better in how we teach the kids different level, different ages, different needs. We have to step up our game every single time to make sure that even the parents supporting the kids, supporting the program, will see it work. We combine our experience, our knowledges, all that just to make sure that the kids get the best training, the best support in the country, even in the world. That's how I wanted to finish. And thank you, everyone.
Right. Final words from our Italian Olympic coach.
yes, we are quite sure about this. But every day we face what we need to do better, where we can grow, and we'll do it. We'll try to do it. So we will never stop to grow with your kids. With our goal.
We're going to hang out a little more. Thank you everyone for joining us online. Thank you guys. Appreciate it. Have a safe ride home. We will hang out for a little bit if anyone has any questions.
Thank you guys. Appreciate it.
Hi.